The St. Louis Cardinals continue to find new and creative ways to throw away baseball games, and last night's might have been the most innovative yet. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. That way you're interacting with us. Hit the notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper picks, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. There have been some bad losses this year, and I'm sorry I'm laughing, but at this point of the season, I'm gonna laugh at this stuff, man. But there's been some bad losses this year. Shutout losses to the Brewers and the Pirates and the Giants all come to mind. There have been some really bad losses, like when the team just gets absolutely blown out by teams like the Angels, or when the Royals and the Astros did it to them. And then there are the losses where it's like, I can't believe that just happened type of losses. The one against the Guardians, 2 against the Giants stand out with the Blake Sable walk-off home run off of Helsley, and then the Yastrzemski home run to tie it off Gallegos, and they lose in extra innings. Heck, first game of the season set us up for what this was going to look like this year when they blew that 9-8 lead in the 9th inning against the Blue Jays and lose 10-9. We should have known then, right? But last night is possibly the worst and most hilarious way to lose out of all of the games this year. That's just my opinion. You may have other ones that you find even worse than last night, but my goodness, I say hilarious because, like I said, at this point, I'm done getting mad. I'm done getting angry watching this team. I reached my breaking point on June 14th in that Yastrzemski game. I was done letting them hurt me anymore right then and there. I was no longer going to live and die with the team this year. I was going to observe them and try to find the good and the bad in each game to point out and talk about intellectually with you, the Locked On Cardinals listeners. And I'm really glad I reached that breaking point already, because after watching how they lost the game last night, there might have been a shoe or like a beer bottle or a beer mug or something. I would have thrown something at the television if I was still the way I was earlier in the season. I have no doubts. I'd be out looking for a new television today, because what we saw last night is unreal. You know, it's unbelievable. If I hadn't seen it with my own 2 eyes, I wouldn't believe it even happened. I would think you're lying to me and joking about how they lost last night's game. And I knew it as soon as Hicks walked the leadoff hitter. I friggin' knew it, that they were doomed. And I almost tweeted it, but I even had the tweet ready to go, and I deleted it because I wanted to give Hicks the benefit of the doubt, because he has been very, very good recently. You can't argue with that. Hicks has been extremely good recently. But you walk that leadoff hitter in the 9th inning, and it just sets you up for disaster almost every time. And I'm sitting there. My wife is next to me. I'm watching on the iPad. She's watching the Reds game on TV, watching her Reds kick the hell out of the Nationals. And I turned to her and I was looking at him. This is after the second hitter got on base. And I was like, they're going to blow this game. Just watch it. Like, they're going to lose this. Watch. And even she was shocked at what transpired in the game. And what makes it worse is what the team had to go through to get back into the game in the first place and eventually take the lead. Like up till the ninth inning, you wanted to give a whole lot of credit to this team because they definitely fought back. First, let's start at the beginning of all of this with Matthew Liberatore getting the start. For some reason, they start Matthew Liberatore on short rest instead of Dakota Hudson. Why? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. They said his pitch count was low enough his last time out. You know why? Because he wasn't any good. But that he was fine going on short rest. Not exactly the gamble I want to make with one of my top pitching prospects. I can gamble with Dakota Hudson and not worry about it so much, right? But why are we gambling with Matthew Liberatore, who's supposed to be somebody that's going to be a future member of this rotation as soon as next year, probably? I mean, the Cardinals have made so many head-scratching moves this year that nothing should surprise me anymore, but I didn't like that in the first place. So Libby gets the start, and he's terrible. He lasts all of 1 out before getting pulled after giving up 4 runs on 5 hits and walking 1. Like, what is it about Liberatore, who was excellent in Memphis this year, that just is not clicking at the major league level? Is it the pressure? Is it the coaching? Is it the catching? What is it? Something has to be completely different because he is a totally different person in Memphis. And then when he gets to St. Louis, he's not very good. At Memphis, 4-1, 3.13 ERA, 56 strikeouts to just 17 walks over 46 innings. That's really, really good. That earned a call-up. He deserved that. It's a 3.29 K to walk ratio and almost 11 Ks per 9 innings. But in the show, he's 1-3. His ERA is at 6.75 and 28 strikeouts to 16 walks over 32 innings. That's a 1.38 K to walk ratio, which is terrible. And it goes from 11 Ks per 9 in Memphis to 6.19 Ks per 9. And his walks per 9 are at 4.5. Like, this is very disturbing. It needs to be addressed immediately. I had said earlier this season, I would say maybe a week or two ago, I wanted Matthew Liberatore in this rotation the rest of the year. He's going to go through some growing pains. We expect that. But this is a different level of issues. He has regressed dramatically since being called up, and whether it's mechanics, whether it's a mental thing, but something isn't right when he joins the St. Louis Cardinals. And if you plan on having him in the rotation next year, you got to get him right. You got to get him right, man, because you can't have this. He's supposed to be one of your top pitching prospects, and he looks terrible. So let's go back to the game last night where the Cardinals trailed as much as 5-0 before mounting their comeback and eventually tying things up at 5 thanks to a 2-run shot by Nolan Gorman, who now has a couple of long flies here in the month of July, first week. So hopefully he's starting to get back to where he was earlier in the year after a really tough June. The teams go back and forth. And eventually the Marlins take the lead again, 8-7. But in the 9th inning, you get a hell of an effort. Like, if Wilson Contreras was here right now, I would chest bump him. I would fist bump him. I'd be giving him all the credit because the man hustled and he slides head first into first base in the 9th inning, beats out the throw, gets the infield single on a team that sometimes looks completely defeated and looks like they don't even give a crap being out there anymore. Wilson Contreras continues to fight and claw, and you got to give him credit for that. As much as we've had issues with him and the way he's calling games, his defense, he goes into these huge slumps, the guy has never quit. He always looks like he's trying 110%, and I'm going to give him credit for that. And you should too. And that infield single, that effort is what sets up the dramatic home run by Jordan Walker. Down to his last strike against a very formidable closer in A.J. Buck. He blasts one 444 feet into that Budweiser area on left center to give the Cardinals a 9-8 lead. A hell of a moment right there. 112 off the bat, just silences the crowd in Miami. and you felt real good. You finally saw a little life on that bench. Even during Gorman's home run earlier in the game, you didn't see much of a reaction by the bench. Maybe because it happened so quick, they're like, whoa, what just happened? But they were jumping. At least the young guys were jumping around. I could see Donovan and I could see Gorman and I saw Burleson up, excited about what just happened. And with Jordan Hicks coming into the game in the ninth inning, as dominating as he has been, I felt pretty good about this one. I was legitimately preparing my notes to record my post-game video that I do. And then Hicks walked the leadoff hitter, and I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. The kiss of death, right? Eventually, it leads to the 2 on, 1 out, tapper back to him. The runners were going on the play, and the runner was coming around third base. And we think that what happened was the infield was hollering, maybe saying, hey, watch him at third, while he was getting ready to throw to first base. He double clutches, sails it over Goldie's head at first. Both runners score. They lose in laughable fashion. I laughed because that's where I'm at with this team right now. So all the hard work the offense put in to come back, that gets wiped away. Great night offensively, too. Nolan Arenado, 3 for 5, 3 doubles, 2 RBIs. Contreras, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs. Donovan had 3 hits. You get home runs from Gorman and Walker. You score 9 runs, and you still lose. The pitching is just brutal, man. Matthew Liberatore, terrible. Hudson and Matz give up 4 runs combined in 5 innings of work. Stratton and Gallegos, they do their jobs. Credit to them. But then Hicks forgets how to throw a ball to first base, and they lose. That's now 18 blown saves this year in 86 games, which leads the league along with the Chicago White Sox. And it's also their 18th one-run loss, which is second only to the Cleveland Guardians. Now, the difference is the Guardians have won 17 one-run games, while the Cardinals have only won 8. Which is the second least amount one-run wins, trailing only, oddly, the Texas Rangers and the San Diego Padres, who have also been a disappointment. Both of those two teams only have 5 one-run wins so far this year. I expected them to lose after the leadoff walk. I really did. I did not foresee them losing on a throwing error by the pitcher. That was very creative of them. The 2023 season continues just to be a nightmare that we cannot wake up from. And as much as I wish Freddy Krueger would just come in and just end it all for all of us, this clown show will roll on in St. Louis because we haven't even hit the second half of the season yet. Imagine all the chaos that will ensue over the second half of the season. Oh, boy. All right, let's get some fan feedback from last night's circus. We're going to do that next on Locked On Cardinals. Want to multiply your money by 100 on daily fantasy baseball? Well, Sleeper is now offering up to a 100 times payout for up to 8 pick contests. Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app, which is focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world with over 5 million active users in 2022. And at Sleeper, it's not just about sports. It's about building personal connections and lasting memories. There's a back and forth that goes on in this app as well. And if you're a fantasy baseball fan like I am, you want to get involved in this because if you know your stuff, and you're already playing fantasy baseball with your buddies, now you can make more money off of this, okay? Like you're going to be choosing 8 players that you like, and you're gonna gauge them on how good they are in like your favorite baseball stats. We're talking home runs, we're talking strikeouts, hits, and more, just like you would in your normal fantasy league. But now you can win money. Yesterday I said, plug in your Marlins because I knew Matthew Liberatore was throwing. I didn't think he'd be that bad, but I specifically pointed out Garrett Cooper. I was like, get him in your lineup. And for the Cardinals, Wilson Contreras. Those were my 2 picks. And if you had listened, you certainly would have benefited from that. And that's how this works. You find the guys with the best matchups and you get them in your lineup and you win. Sleeper offers more stat categories to place contests on, safe and fast withdrawals. Entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. It's really that simple, guys. Use promo code Locked On and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Cardinals are in Miami to face the Marlins again tonight. Game 4 of this 4-game set, and you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. A reminder, you can leave comments on our YouTube channel under each video as well as on Twitter so that your voice can be heard. And I got some solid ones after last night's game. Let's go to this one first. We'll start with Robert, who says, been a fan since 1969. Nice. Never seen a Cards team so bad with the amount of talent they have. And Robert, that's the hardest pill to swallow about this. Like if you had a lineup that consisted of what, like Oakland or the Nationals or who's another team that stinks, like the Rockies or whatever, teams that are supposed to be rebuilding and you expect them to not be all that good, it wouldn't be as rough, right? But you have 2 MVP caliber hitters on your team. You have multiple Gold Glove winners. You have one of the most highly touted prospects in all of baseball on your team. Jordan Montgomery is outstanding this year. I'm not going to look at the wins and losses, but he's now top 10 in NL ERA and top 20 in Major League Baseball. He's got a better ERA than Shohei Ohtani, Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, Spencer Strider, Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. I could go on and on. He's been really, really good. And yet all of that is on one roster that is now 35-51. How? We don't understand. Nobody understands it. Like I get in these meetings with my locked on, I guess coworkers. I guys from the Cubs and the Pirates, and that we're all Reds. We're all talking and stuff, and people cannot believe that this team loses as much as it does. They don't get it. Nobody understands it. It's bizarre. IKLN6233. I don't know what that all means, but I can't believe the pitching staff found a brand new way to lose a ball game. I thought I'd seen them blow a game every way possible. Man, was I wrong. This is a new low. I think there's other levels we can get down to, though, don't you? I mean, the next level is to lose on a balk. Or what about walking a winning run in on a pitch clock violation? Can't wait to see what they come up with next. I want to see one of those. That's the next level of patheticness that we have to get to. Blitz XO says, I admire all my fellow Cardinal fans. They can continue to watch this train wreck. I gave up about a year ago. Unwatchable. I mean, a year ago seems a bit much, though, right? That means you missed all the Pujols fun last year. But I don't blame you for not watching as much this year. If I wasn't doing this as a job, I wouldn't be tuned in every inning paying as much attention as I do now. Why should you? They are not very good. And you're seeing it kind of I know when they announced the attendance at games at Busch and they're 40-something thousand showed up, man. There's not 40,000 people in those seats anymore. There are a lot of empty red seats out there. But the eyes can only take so much, and you just feel like they're going to pop right out of your head when you see things like you did last night. It hurts my skull. User YC says, a pitching coach with no MLB experience, and it shows. Dusty Blake should not have a job. This kind of dysfunction would not have happened under Mike Maddox. This is beyond frustrating. And again, as much as fans want to blame the coaching staff for this year, and yeah, they deserve plenty of blame. I'm not giving them a free pass here. They're all screwing up. But I still put the blame. I say, who hired this staff? Who signed these players? Who built this mess? It wasn't Ollie. It wasn't Dusty Blake. The majority of the blame, in my eyes, and in my opinion, John Mozeliak. John Mozeliak in the front office have done a horrible job of preparing this team for life without Yadier Molina, to be losing certain players, Albert last year, they're going to lose Wainwright. I know he hasn't been very good this year, but they just have not done a great job with foreseeing what was going to be needed, specifically the Yadi thing, right? It has been a disaster with the catching and the pitching staff this year. How did you not prepare better for that? If Yadi was as important as he was, because we're all made to believe now that he called all the pitches, called the games, was in charge of the lineups. You know what I mean? I'm joking there, but still, that he had his hands in so much stuff that when that person is removed from it, the Cardinals look like they have no idea what they're doing. It's as if Yadi or Molina ran the team. It really wasn't a manager or coaches or even Mozeliak. They just let Yadi do it all, and now this is what we're left with, that nobody knows how to do any of this. And that's what it seems like. I don't know how much of that is true, but I cannot put as much blame on the coaching staff as I would on John Mozeliak. I think it's more his fault. Bill Mahan says, showing my age, but DeWitt and Mo are making me think fondly of the 70s when the Cardinals were horrible, but not this horrible. Until DeWallet sells the franchise, Cardinal fans will never see the glory days again. He only cares about net profit and couldn't give a rip about championships. As they said in The Godfather, it's just business. Thank you, Bill. Bill, can we leave the blown saves and take the cannolis? How about that? Other teams have proven that you don't have to have the highest payroll to win a championship, but the decision-making, it's just been awful. Again, let's go to Mo here. He's the one who's made these decisions and horrible trades and has cut guys that have gone on to have successful careers. Look what Lane Thomas is doing in Washington right now. And I know he wasn't very good with the Cardinals, but it's weird that the way they judge talent, and yet talent flourishes in other places, but they're not good in St. Louis. Like Adolis Garcia was not doing anything all that special when he was up on the Cardinals. In the minors, he was pretty good. Lane Thomas, same thing. Got up to the major league level, not very good. Was doing pretty well in the minor leagues. Same with Randy Arozarena. Arozarena actually was doing okay when he was up on the Cardinals too, but they shipped him off. But I'm just saying, like, they're judging, their ability to judge talent is definitely in question. You know, I mean, they've let so much talent go out the door, and then the guys they're keeping aren't panning out. And it doesn't matter how much money you throw at the problem. If you continue to make horrible decisions on trades and free agency, you could give all the money in the world to him. But if he keeps picking the wrong people, it's not going to matter. I want to end this on some positive stuff, though. Let's talk about some of the good things that are happening in the minor leagues, including a nice start by one of the team's top pitching prospects. We'll do that next here on Locked On Cardinals. The Cardinals are in Miami for one final game in this series against the Marlins tonight. You can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. It's been a tough year for Cardinals pitching prospect Gordon Graceffo. A lot of hype surrounding him coming into spring training. Didn't look so good in spring training. Then he dealt with some injuries, but he's back, moving in the right direction after his performance on Wednesday. STLtoday.com's Daniel Guerrero, who, by the way, magnificent coverage of what's going on with some of the top prospects, even the guys that aren't top prospects, but just have, a good week or something. He points them all out. Really good follow. If you don't already, check him out. But he wrote today, Graceffo provided 6 innings of work and allowed 1 run, which was unearned in Memphis's 4-1 win against Indianapolis. The right-hander with a 3.53 ERA scattered 3 hits across the 6 frames and issued 2 walks. He tallied just 1 strikeout, had 3 swing and misses on the evening. From the 3rd inning through the end of the 6th, Graceffo faced 2 batters over the minimum. His fastball velocity averaged 93 on the evening per StatCast. He topped out at 96.3, with his fastball was clocked at 94.7 in his final inning. He also mentions Masyn Winn in his piece today. Masyn Winn flexed some power of his own from Indianapolis. Winn jumped on a 1-0 sinker and belted the pitch 432 feet to left center field for a 2-run home run. They gave Memphis its 4-1 lead. The home run was Wynn's 9th of the season and first since June 24th. The 21-year-old shortstop prospect has a hit in 15 of his last 17 games. So that's all good news, man. You want to see these guys continue to progress. And the way things are going, man, if the Cardinals can find a partner, if there's somebody out there who decides, you know what, we would like to have Paul DeJong for our playoff push and have him as, somebody that can give us some depth at shortstop, give us a right-handed bat off the bench. If they find somebody that they can ship to DeJong to at the deadline, maybe we see Masyn Winn up earlier than expected. I didn't think we'd see him this year, but I also didn't think the Cardinals were going to be in the toilet by the All-Star break. So, hey, why not bring the kids up and let them get some experience at the major league level before 2024? Because let's be honest, there is not much left to play for here in 2023. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Be sure to catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast for tonight's game against the Marlins with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Jack Flaherty takes the bump against the Marlins rookie sensation Yuri Perez tonight. You're hoping for another good start from Jack Flaherty, not because there's much to play for as far as the Cardinals go, but his stock, you want it to keep going up because with that trade deadline coming up in a few weeks, Jack Flaherty might be one of the bigger arms available, especially at his age, on the market. Him, as we mentioned, Jordan Montgomery and Jordan Hicks. These are names that people are going to be calling about. And the better they do, the more the Cardinals can get in return. First pitch at 5:40 tonight, St. Louis time. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You're the best fans in baseball for a reason. And I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.